Peta and I walked to a railing at the edge of the roof. I look straight down the side of the building to the street, which is buzzing with people. You can hear their cars, an occasional shout, and a strange metallic clinking. In District 12, we'd all be thinking about bed right now. I asked Cinna why they let us up here. Weren't they worried that some of the tributes might decide to jump right over the side? Says Peta. What did he say? I ask. You can't, says Peta. He holds out his hand into seemingly empty space. There's a sharp zap, and he jerks it back. Some kind of electric field throws you back on the roof. Always worried about our safety, I say, even though Cinna has shown Peta the roof. I wonder if we're supposed to be up here now, so late and alone. I've never seen tributes on the training center roof before, but that doesn't mean we're not being taped. Do you think they're watching us now? Maybe, he admits. Come see the garden. On the other side of the dome, they've built a garden with flower beds and potted trees. From the branches hang hundreds of wind chimes, which account for the tinkling I heard. Here in the garden on this windy night, it's enough to drown out two people who are trying not to be heard. Peta looks at me expectantly. I pretend to examine a blossom. We were hunting in the woods one day, hidden, waiting for game, I whisper. You and your father? He whispers back. No, my friend Gale. Suddenly all the birds stopped singing at once, except one, as if it were giving a warning call. And then we saw her. I'm sure it was the same girl. A boy was with her. Their clothes were tattered. They had dark circles under their eyes from no sleep. They were running as if their lives depended on it, I say. For a moment I'm silent, as I remember how the sight of this strange pair, clearly not from District 12, fleeing through the woods, immobilized us. Later, we wondered if we could have helped them escape. Perhaps we might have. Concealed them, if we'd moved quickly. Gale and I were taken by surprise, yes, but we are both hunters. We know how animals look at bay. We knew the pair was in trouble as soon as we saw them, but we only watched. The hovercraft appeared out of nowhere, I continued to Peta. I mean, one moment the sky was empty, and the next it was there. It didn't make a sound, but they saw it. A net dropped down on the girl and carried her up fast, so fast like the elevator. They shot some sort of spear through the boy. It was attached to a cable, and they hauled him up as well, but I'm certain he was dead. We heard the girl scream once, the boy's name, I think. Then it was gone, the hovercraft, vanished into thin air, and the birds began to sing again, as if nothing had happened. Did they see you? Peta asked. I don't know. We were under a shelf of rock, I reply. But I do know. There was a moment after the bird call, but before the hovercraft, where the girl had seen us. She'd locked eyes with me and called out for help, but neither Gale or I had responded. You're shivering, says Peta. The wind and the story have blown all the warmth from my body. The girl's scream. Had it been her last? Peta takes off his jacket and wraps it around my shoulders. I start to take a step back, but then I let him, deciding for a moment to accept both his jacket and his kindness. A friend would do that, right? They were from here? He asks, as he secures a button at my neck. I nod. They'd had the capital look about them, the boy and the girl. Where do you suppose they were going? He asks. I don't know that, I say. District 12 is pretty much the end of the line. Beyond us, there's only wilderness. If you don't count the ruins of District 13, that still smolder from the toxic bombs. They show it on television occasionally, just to remind us, or why they would leave here. Hamish had called the Avexes traitors. Against what? It could only be the capital, but they had everything here. No cause to rebel. I'd leave here, Peta blurts out. Then he looks around nervously. It was loud enough to hear above the chimes. He laughs. I'd go home now if they let me, but you have to admit, the food's prime. He's covered again. If that's all you'd heard, it would just... sound like the words of a scared tribute, not someone contemplating the unquestionable goodness of the capital. It's getting chilly. We'd better go in, he says. Inside the dome, it's warm and bright. His tone is conversational. Your friend Gale, he's the one who took your sister away at the reaping? Yes, do you know him? I ask. Not really. I heard the girls talk about him a lot. I thought he was your cousin or something. You favor each other, he says. No, we're not related, I say. Peeta nods, unreadable. Did he come to say goodbye to you? Yes, I say, observing him carefully. So did your father. He brought me cookies. Peeta raises his eyebrows, as if this is news, but after watching him lie so smoothly, I don't give this much weight. Really? Well, he likes you and your sister. I think he wishes he had a daughter instead of a household of boys. The idea that I might ever have been discussed around the dinner table at the bakery fire just in passing in Peeta's house gives me a start. It must have been when his mother was out of the room. He knew your mother when they were kids, says Peeta. Another surprise, but probably true. Oh yes, she grew up in town, I say. It seems impolite to say she never mentioned the baker except to compliment his bread. We're at my door. I give back his jacket. See you in the morning, then. See you, he says, and walks off down the hall. When I open my door, the red-headed girl is collecting my unitard and boots from where I left them on the floor before my shower. I want to apologize for possibly getting her in trouble earlier, but I remember I'm not supposed to speak to her unless I am giving her an order. Oh, sorry, I say. I was supposed to get those back to Cinna. I'm sorry, can you take them to him? She avoids my eyes, gives a small nod, and heads out the door. I'd set out to tell her I was sorry about dinner, but I know that my apology runs much deeper. That I'm ashamed I never tried to help her in the woods. That I let the capital kill the boy and mutilate her without lifting a finger, just like I was watching the games. I kicked off my shoes and climb under the covers in my clothes. The shivering hasn't stopped. Perhaps the girl doesn't even remember me, but I know she does. You don't forget the face of the person who was your last hope. I pull the covers up over my head as if this will protect me from the red-headed girl who can't speak, but I can feel her eyes staring at me, piercing through walls and doors and bedding. I wonder if she'll enjoy watching me die.